This is the Possible Care for Dogs. The podcast begins.
Welcome to a new deep dive. Today, we're cracking open a fascinating source titled Caring for Your Chihuahua's Health and Happiness.
And it's a great title, isn't it? These little dogs have got huge personalities, but keeping them healthy for, well, potentially 15 plus years, that takes some specific know-how.
Absolutely. So our mission here is really to pull out the key information from this material, helping you understand what makes this breed tick, health-wise.
Mm-hmm.
They're tiny, sure, but getting their care right, it's a pretty big deal for their longevity.
It really is. And the source, it's quite clear, yeah, they can live a long time, but they're also, prone to several specific health problems.
Mm-hmm.
Knowing about these is sort of step one for proactive care.
Okay, let's get into that. The source definitely flags some key issues. First one, dental disease. It actually calls it notorious for Chihuahuas. Why is it such a big problem for them?
Well, it mostly boils down to their physical structure. They have these tiny mouths, right? So the teeth often get really crowded.
Huh.
And that crowding, it just makes it super easy for plaque and tartar to build up. That leads fast to periodontal disease and, well, often losing teeth way too early.
And the numbers the source mentioned were pretty stark, weren't they? Something about a study.
Yeah, it referenced one from the Journal of Veterinary Dentistry, found over 80% of Chihuahuas over 5 years old had signs of periodontal disease.
Wow.
And often bad enough to need teeth pulled. That's huge. It's not just common, it's almost expected if you're not on top of it.
Okay, so that really highlights why the recommendations are so strong. Daily brushing.
Daily brushing is the ideal, absolutely. Plus annual professional cleanings by the vet,
Right.
and maybe some vet-approved dental chews to help out in between. It's fundamental health stuff, not just about bad breath.
Got it. Okay, moving down from the mouth. Knees. Patellar luxation. Slipping kneecaps. That sounds painful.
It can be. It's common in lots of toy breeds. Basically, the kneecap just sort of pops out of its groove temporarily.
And that causes limping.
Yeah, sudden limping, or sometimes they do this funny little skip in their step. The material really stresses keeping their weight down, less strain on the joints,
Makes sense.
and trying to prevent them from constantly jumping off, say, the couch or the bed. High impacts aren't great.
Okay. And the source mentioned surgery might be needed sometimes.
Yeah, in more advanced or severe cases, surgery might be the best option to fix it properly. So catching it early, managing their weight and activity, that's really key.
Right. Another one highlighted was collapsing trachea. That sounds serious.
It is, and it's something owners might notice as this kind of dry, honking cough. Almost sounds like a goose sometimes.
Oh, I think I know that sound. The source said excitement can trigger it, or pulling on a collar.
Exactly. Excitement, heat, exercise, even pressure on the throat. That's why the advice is so strong.
Yeah.
Always use a harness.
Never a neck collar.
Never. A harness distributes the pressure. Also, keeping them at a healthy weight helps, and trying to avoid irritants like smoke, dust, strong chemical smells, anything that can bother their airway.
Okay, good advice. And the last one mentioned, it sounds a bit scary, hydrocephalus. Something about soft spots.
Yeah, some Chihuahuas are born with an open fontanelle, like a baby soft spot on their head. Hydrocephalus is when there's excess fluid building up around the brain.
Does every dog with a soft spot get it?
No, not at all.
Uh-huh.
But the breed does have a predisposition. You'd look for things like a really domed-looking head, maybe seizures, or just odd behavioral changes.
So another thing where regular vet checks are crucial for spotting it early.
Absolutely. Knowing these possibilities means you can be vigilant, work with your vet. It's about being prepared.
Okay, so those are some major health areas to watch. Let's shift gears now to the proactive care the source talks about, starting with diet and nutrition. That seems super important for such tiny dogs.
Oh, definitely. Their metabolism is really fast, surprisingly fast, but their stomachs are tiny.
Right.
So they need food that's packed with calories and nutrients, but in small portions.
And the source recommended specific small breed kibble, right? Said the small size helps with teeth, too.
Yeah, that's a potential side benefit. The main thing is the formulation higher protein, usually around 26 to 30%. And omega-3s are good too, for their coat, skin, and joints.
And feeding frequency matters too, doesn't it? Especially for puppies.
Hugely important. Multiple small meals a day are much better than one or two big ones. It helps keep their blood sugar stable, prevents hypoglycemia, which puppies are especially prone to.
That makes sense.
And there was research mentioned showing small breeds on these specialized diets did better overall weight, teeth, digestion. It really backs up tailoring the food.
Okay, so diet is critical. What about keeping them looking good, grooming, and skincare?
Yeah, whether they're short-haired or long-haired, consistent grooming is beneficial. Regular brushing is key.
Daily for the long-haired ones, I imagine, to avoid mats.
Exactly. Daily or every other day for long coats. A few times a week is usually fine for short coats. It helps with shedding, distributes skin oils, keeps the coat healthy.
And baths.
Usually every 4 to 6 weeks is plenty, unless they get into something messy. Use a gentle dog shampoo.
And don't forget ears and nails.
Definitely not. Check and clean ears weekly. Look for wax, redness, debris. And trim nails every 2 or 3 weeks. Those little nails grow fast.
The source also mentioned tear staining. That seems common.
It is, especially on the lighter colored dogs. Just gently wiping around their eyes daily with a damp cloth can help manage it and stop the fur from getting irritated or infected.
All right. Now, exercise. They're lap dogs, but do they need more than just cuddles?
Oh, absolutely. They might be small, but they're alert, they're smart, and they actually have a fair bit of energy.
So, walks.
Yep, daily short walks, maybe 20-30 minutes. It's good for them physically, but don't forget mental exercise too.
Ah, like puddle toys.
Exactly. Interactive toys, food puzzles, even teaching them basic commands are fun tricks. They're intelligent, and they usually love the attention.
And that helps prevent bad habits.
It really does.
Yeah.
Mental stimulation stops them getting bored, which can lead to things like nuisance barking or chewing things they shouldn't. There was even a study mentioned finding that toy breeds with enrichment and positive training were less anxious and could focus better.
Interesting. So engaging their brains is just as important as walking them.
Totally. It's all connected.
Which brings us nicely to the overarching importance of preventive veterinary care. The source really hammers this home.
As it should. Early and consistent vet visits are, well, they're the foundation for a long life. This means those annual checkups, yes, but also things like planned dental cleanings under anesthesia when the vet recommends them.
And checking for those specific issues we talked about.
Right. Regular knee exams for the patellar luxation, maybe chest x-rays if there's any hint of tracheal issues, monitoring their heart health as they get older.
And the source made a really crucial point about subtle signs in small dogs.
Yes. This is so important. Because they're so small, little changes can mean big problems. A slight dip in appetite, being a bit less energetic, a tiny change in breathing, things you might not worry about in a bigger dog, could be serious in a Chihuahua.
So you really need to be observant.
Extremely. Don't ever hesitate to call the vet if something seems even a little bit off. Things can change quickly for them.
Okay, that attentiveness is key. Now let's talk about something just as vital. Their emotional health and lifestyle.
This is huge for Chihuahuas. The material describes them as incredibly loyal. They often bond really intensely with just 1 or 2 people.
And they like calm environments.
They generally thrive in calm, stable homes, lots of chaos, loud noises, rough play. That's usually not their scene. They feel most secure when things are predictable.
So that whole purse dog stereotype, it comes from a real need to be close.
In a way, yes. It speaks to their strong desire for closeness and security with their chosen person. They like to be included.
And the source mentioned they're sensitive. How does that affect training?
Very sensitive. Harsh tones, punishment-based training that's really counterproductive and can damage their trust and make them anxious. Positive reinforcement, kindness, patience. That's the only way to go.
Builds trust, right?
Exactly. And because they bond so closely, they can also be prone to separation anxiety if they're left alone too much or too often.
That makes sense. You can't just leave them for 10 hours a day easily.
It takes management and sometimes specific training to help them cope. And interestingly, the source cited a recent study confirming that this strong emotional bond and consistency in their life directly impacts their lifespan and anxiety levels.
Wow, so their emotional state is really tied to their physical health.
Inseparably, it seems, especially for these little guys.
No, so wrapping this up, Chihuahuas, they're just bursting with personality, aren't they? But their small size means they have these very specific health and lifestyle needs that demand, well, real attention.
Right. It comes down to being mindful. Mindful of their nutrition, vigilant about their dental health, watching for those orthopedic issues like knees and trachea, giving them enough mental and physical activity.
And crucially, supporting that emotional need for security and closeness.
Exactly. Put all those pieces together and you give them the best shot at that long, healthy, happy life they're definitely capable of having.
It sounds like a big commitment, but obviously incredibly rewarding given that loyalty. Which leads to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe chew on. Given their specific vulnerabilities, those health risks, that sensitivity, but also that fierce loyalty, what does responsible ownership truly mean for such a delicate yet bold little companion, especially today, when maybe their convenience sometimes overshadows their complex needs? Something to think about.